Hello, and welcome to a mini-sode of My Streaming Bubble, the podcast where I talk about the shows I love with the people I tolerate. I am your TV watching and talking host, Jen, and welcome back to another mini-sode of The Last of Us for Season 2. Obviously, this time talking about Episode 2. I am not emotionally prepared for this episode because everything I fucking jotted down before I hit play yesterday just doesn't even fucking matter because what the fuck? So this is going to be a great episode. So if you listened to last week's episode, if you've been following along, this is week 2 of me covering the second season of The Last of Us. I'm doing an episode by episode recap for the series. I did one for season 1. Those were more of like a live watch and then recap at the end. So for this season, I'm skipping the live watch part, although I'm kind of wishing I had done it for episode 2 Through the Valley. But that would have just been a lot of me like screaming and ugly snot sob crying. And you guys probably don't want to hear that, but you can imagine. So not doing any of the live watches, just these post-watch recaps, if you will. And yeah, so last week I did episode 1, obviously, Future Days. And it was... for a season premiere, it was all right. It wasn't like super crazy action-packed or intense or anything, but that's fine. Not all season premieres have to be that way as long as there's a strong second episode of the season. And they definitely delivered that with Through the Valley. So episode 1 did a really good job of kind of catching us back up. We got that time jump, kind of seeing what everyone is currently up to and everything. And just kind of setting up the board, the pieces for the rest of the season and everything. So although everything that I thought could have happened at the end of episode 1 and even before, and even throughout watching episode 2, none of that shit fucking happened. And I have mixed feelings on that. Like, thank you for not being, like predictable in any way where I'm like, oh, this is totally what's going to happen. And then it happened and then being like, called it. But at the same time, what the fuck? So we'll go ahead and we'll just get right into it. I did the royal we again. Just whatever. Just try to get through it. I'll try not to make a big deal about it. I don't know why that weirds me out, but it does. Anywho. So back for episode 2, like I said, Through the Valley. So consider this your spoiler warning, content warnings. I didn't have anything like specific jotted down. There were dogs attacking the zombies, but we only saw the dogs attacking the zombies. So all the dogs are fine. Heartbreaking character death. And, I think that's it. Really stressful moments with Tommy and Flamethrower versus big ass bloater. Like I didn't like that. It was blah. All right. So for the IMDb synopsis for episode 2, Through the Valley. As a storm brews in the mountains, the people of Jackson Hole prepare for the worst amid increased sightings of infected. Meanwhile, Abby weighs her options. I did not get a chance to write down my own little synopsis for this episode because I've just kind of been in shock since I finished it last night. So I watched the episode Sunday nights. I do these recordings like Monday and just to try and get it while it's all fresh. And it's just based on my initial watch. I have not rewatched the episode and I don't think I want to. So I don't have like a funny, quippy, clever synopsis for this. Other than I wasn't expecting that to happen so soon or really like ever. All right, so like I said, all my notes that I had written out before I started watching the episode last night, and then even some of my notes through watching, like while watching the episode, are just kind of like fucking useless right now, but I will go ahead and share what I have written down, and then we will talk about that fucking ending. So it all starts off just fine, right? Like, so my little note for my previously on, like I said, not a whole hell of a lot happened in that premiere, but it does what it does. You know, it sets everything up. And getting all these players and pieces into position for, like, you know, the revenge and secrets probably getting revealed, some deaths that will really, really suck probably, and like character development. And, you know, infected within the city limits. So I wasn't expecting the death that will really, really suck happening in the second fucking episode of this season. So that's not... That's not okay. Oh my God. So the episode starts, you know, we're following Abby and her crew of folks. They, you know, they're just kind of right outside-ish. Jackson Hole, they're up on the mountain. They can see down. They're like, oh, fuck, it's a gigantic city. We're not going to be able to take them all out. And Abby clearly has spent the last 5 years just plowing through her villain journey and just not letting go, not finding any peace. I understand she's mad because, like, Joel killed her dad and unarmed doctor and all of that, and that is pretty fucked up. And she has the good point of there's just some things that are universal that you, like, just don't do. And, like, shooting an unarmed person, especially, like, a physician, probably is, like, top of the list. So... I get it. I get that she's mad and everything, but, like, she's really fucking mad 5 years later, and that's done nothing but, like, just take root in her soul and just, like, infect her instead of, like, with the zombie virus, but with that, like, anger and hate and revenge virus that, like, Star Wars loves so much. So she's kind of even getting to the point where even, like, some of her group are just like, she's kind of crossing some lines. She's getting a little over the top. And the one guy was going to try and convince her to go back so they didn't all die, which was fine. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, you know, she's off on her own now. She's like, I'm going to go down the mountain when it's really fucking cold. So I'm thinking, like, she's going to encounter maybe Ellie and Jesse, especially once Abby falls down into, like, that pit of, like, frozen infected, or not frozen, but just dormant, I guess, until they aren't, and then they get up and they start chasing her, and they're really fucking fast, even when they're all cold like that, which I don't like that either. They should, like, be slower because it's cold. I don't know how that works. But she goes running down into wherever, like, I thought she was closer to, like, the town that Ellie and Jesse were holed up in, where they find, like, the big, Jesse shows her, like, the big old, like, pot crop place. Pot crop place. And so I thought when Abby, like, encountered all the infected and everything, I thought what was going to happen was, like, Ellie and Jesse were going to find her and save her and then bring her and her crew and her little group back to Jackson Hole, again, as refugees, and kind of going through that whole, from episode 1 with Maria and Joel talking about can't let any more in, but we should, and low on resources and yada yada. I thought all of that was going to come into play at this point, or at least setting that all up. That's not the case. So Joel ends up finding Abby and saving her and everything. And she takes that, Joel and Dina, and takes that opportunity to be like, oh, well, you know, even though, like, with the storms coming, you'll never make it back to your compound or whatever. So follow me, you know, take me up to the cabin. That's where my friends are, blah, blah, blah. And they get up there. All hell is breaking loose down at Jackson Hole because the horde of infected that are really, really fast has reached the gates. And Joel's watching all of this shit from afar. And Ellie and Jesse are holed up in the, why am I why is my brain just blanking on the greenhouse, wherever they're growing, wherever that one dude was growing all that pot. My God. So that's where Ellie and Jesse are. And we find out in this episode that Ellie and Jesse were once a thing. That kind of makes a little sense to me because there were a couple of times, nothing that really like stuck out and was like super obvious, but I'm like, oh, they seem pretty close, Ellie and Jesse. I thought for a hot passing half a second, like, oh, maybe he has a crush on her or something, but it didn't matter because I'm like, well, they've been in this place for 5 years. She's got friendships, she's got relationships, whatever. Maybe they're just close. I didn't really think too long about anyone crushing on anyone else or having dated. So that was a fun little like reveal. I was like, oh, I could see that. So that was kind of a fun tiny reveal. Like it's not that big of a deal, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, so that's where Ellie and Jesse are for most of the episode. And we spend most of the episode going back and forth between Abby and then Abby and Joel and Dina and Abby's crew and the insanity that is happening down at Jackson Hole. So with Jackson Hole, I have to say I'm really, really, really impressed with their protocols and what they do in the event of an attack of a horde or anything like that. I love the whole like rooftops or basements, stay off Main Street, get out of the streets and all of that. Very organized. Very organized. And you can tell they like obviously run these drills a lot because they all like knew what they had to do. And even like at the beginning, as Tommy's talking about like, oh, we've done these drills. This is, what do we do? And kind of just recapping it for the group. And everyone was just like right on top of their shit. So I thought that was, like I said, I thought that was really super impressive. And again, with Maria, like after the horde has breached the gates and everything, and Maria goes and like releases the hounds. Like, first of all, they've got like an area with the dogs all crated up and everything. And I'm just like, I don't think I've ever seen dogs used so effectively in a post-apocalyptic zombie world. And I love that. That's fucking brilliant. If the animals are okay, then why not? Then why not save as many of the dogs as you can and train them to be, like protectors, attack dogs and everything against the hordes, against the infected. Fucking brilliant. I mean, it does kind of suck because it's like, in a way, like sacrificing them. But we didn't see any of that. So all the dogs are fine. All the dogs lived and they ate the throats of all the infected. But either way, very, very cool use of the dogs. But yeah, so love that. I love how they've got everything all planned out. Everyone has a role. Everyone knows where they need to be. Again, the basements or rooftops, prepping the flamethrowers. I was like, fuck yeah, they've got flamethrowers. Let's fucking go. Pushing the tractor thingies up against the gates to try and hold them up. And and then like putting the wedge on the tires to kind of hold them in place as the horde keeps pushing against it. Also brilliant. Very good use of all your fucking resources. Very, very impressed. But it's like, for a community that size, you have to be organized and you have to be on top of your shit and you have to have people that are obviously like supports that 110%. Right? Because you have one person or a handful of people that are just like, oh, this is dumb. I don't want to do that. Well, that ends up putting everybody in jeopardy. So I like to see this community, this unison, this working together within Jackson Hole. Definitely gives it kind of a more idyllic zombie apocalypse feel. Like everyone's working together. no one's like pushing back or being a whiny little bitch about it. Oh, speaking of whiny little bitches, Seth whatever. Seth apologizes to Ellie. You know, Maria basically takes Ellie to Seth, who is like the line cook at the diner or whatever. One of the restaurants there. And Seth is like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't even thought it. Blah, 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 blah. And Ellie's just like, yeah, cool, whatever, man. And I'm just like, fucking whatever, Seth. Who cares? That's literally my only note is, whatever, Seth. So, I mean, I guess he apologized. I guess that's better than nothing. But you know what they say about, like, alcohol, you know, getting all drunk like that, revealing who you truly are. And I don't know. I don't know if we're supposed to have any other feelings towards Seth. Like, okay, maybe he's not so bad. He apologized. He didn't mean to think those things and say them out loud. Yeah, well, he did. And again, in an apocalypse, there are better things to fucking do. So I was actually kind of hoping Seth was going to die in this episode. I don't think he did. I think he lives. Wrong one dies. Always. Anyway, let's see. So, but yeah, this whole fucking episode was super intense, so fucking emotional, and I loved it. As much as it hurt and it sucked, I fucking loved this episode. This was so good. I love that we are seeing these two separate groups riding through the storm, two separate pairs, I guess, because it's Jesse and Ellie, and then Joel and Dina, and they'd already taken off earlier in the day. So, but now they're traveling through the storm. They get stuck out in the storm and everything, and we kind of follow them on that path for a little bit or whatever. But there was just something about like riding through the valley, like, what was it? I think it was after Joel and Dina find Abby and save her, and then the Horde's chasing them, and they're trying to get up to the cabin where Abby's group is. And the way that they're on the horses and they're riding through the mountain, through the snow with the zombies following them, again, felt very much like something from the video game. I'm not sure. I haven't gone back and looked too much into what all was maybe a shot-for-shot remake of something from the video game. But that one, I feel like, was. And probably the attack of the Hordes breaching the gates at Jackson Hole. That probably is very much a level as well. Like flame throwing the big bloater. So again, they're keeping that up. I love that. I love that they're staying as true to the game as possible and really incorporating as much as they can. I think that is just, again, fucking fantastic. So, but oh my God, I don't even know where to go from here because, again, my notes don't fucking matter anymore. Oh, let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. But yeah, so riding through the valley, running from the zombies, like I said, felt very video gamey. And for me, the only other video game similar to this that I'm familiar with would be the Red Dead games. And so definitely kind of had that video, that's what was familiar for me, was that the riding through the mountains, through the snow, trying to get away from things that are trying to kill you. I feel like, yes, I saw that while my husband was playing Red Dead 2. And so I'm just like, awesome. I love it. I love it. Like, how do you do that? How do you just take a scene like running from zombies on horseback on a snowy mountain, something that we've probably seen a half a dozen or more times in different shows and movies and video games, but how do you put it into a show and still have it feel like a video game? I don't know, but they fucking did it. They continue to do it, and I think that's super heckin' impressive. Let's see. Oh, also with how Jackson Hole kind of fortified their city walls and everything with the attack on the Horde. Again, the organization, they've got like these ramps where they unleash these barrels of flammable liquid. And like, they must have done a lot of, over the last 5+ years, a lot of really good recon and scavenging, because how they have barrels full of that much flammable liquid that they can just like yeet at zombies. I'm sure that it's more of like in an emergency situation kind of thing. But still, and all the ammunition. That's a lot of fucking ammo. And a lot of, like, you got, like, they had like a couple of flamethrowers, at least the one that Tommy had. I thought they had a couple. But yeah, I just couldn't help but think, like, man, they really spent the last few years and gathered up everything they thought they would need, and they have a bit of a surplus where they can just throw it at zombies and set them on fire. Which, you know, good for them. They put in the work. They scavenge that shit. They can do with it what they want. But yeah, when the zombies were, before they breached the gates of Jackson Hole, and they're all like, just acting like crazed zombies and pounding at the doors, trying to climb the walls and this and that. And then all of a sudden, they stop and they change direction. And you hear this roaring in the background. And you're just like, what the fuck is that? And then one of those big ass bloaters comes fucking running up. And you're just like, oh, fuck. Not that. Not that fucking thing. So that was gross. And a lot of fun. And I was really, really worried for Tommy there for a hot second. I get it, because he had the flamethrower. Because he just kept flaming the bloater, and the thing just kept going. And I was like, oh my God, obviously this is going to go one of two ways. Either Tommy lives or he doesn't. And there was a hot second where I was like, oh, fuck, maybe it's Tommy. Maybe we lose Tommy. I don't know. I just had kind of a small inkling that we were going to lose some characters or lose, you know, some people in this episode. And we did. You know, plenty of residents of Jackson Hole did not survive the breach. But in terms of our main players, I was very, very, very worried for Tommy. I was worried for fucking Maria, too, because I was like, I swear to God, if Regina Wesley does not make it to the end of this series, or even the end of this season, I am going to flip my shit. So, but she did. Yay, Maria lives. Reunited with Tommy, and oh, they're just elated and exhausted, and all of those things. But when the infected did breach the town, and they started breaking into like the businesses and stuff, crashing through the windows and the doors because they're zombies, they don't give a shit, and making it upstairs to the rooftops and started taking out some of the shooters up there. Oh, I got real nervous for her, but she did great. And that also, again, felt like a level, the way Maria was, like, didn't flinch. She just, you know, got some zombies in her sights, pop, and then over here and pop a couple more zombies on another rooftop to try and save another townsperson. So, like, how do you do that? Is it just because we know it's a video game? And so am I just, like, projecting that? Like, or are they, like, legit doing shit and they're like, we know how to make this show feel like a video game without it making it look like a video game? Like, it's like some TV magic or some shit. I don't fucking know, but I love it. And that was just another one of those, this feels like a moment in the game. All right, so, okay. All right, let's go ahead and we'll start talking about that. We'll start talking about Abby and Joel. All right, so first of all, the number of times I have "oh shit" written down in my notes is a lot, and yet at the same time, not enough. So Abby's out getting caught in the storm, getting chased by really fast, half frozen zombies. And she is rescued at the last second by not Ellie or Jesse, but by Joel. Like, what? Oh my God. Totally should have seen that one coming, that the person that she's hunting is the one that saves her. 'Cause of course. I was thinking that the show was going to wait a little while, kind of draw out her finding him and everything. But nope, they're just going to do it fucking right there. So, of course, I'm still thinking that they're still going to try and work their way back to Jackson Hole or whatever. Or I wasn't expecting them to jump Joel right then and there at the cabin. So, but they do because, fair enough, Abby had that opportunity and she would have been a fool to have wasted it. As much as I hate to say that, because I'm very mad at Abby right now. That's just the facts. No other opportunity was going to come up that was going to be better than that one. So why the fuck not? Oh, but my goodness gracious. But yeah, kind of hearing Abby's little monologue thing and why she's doing it and her dad and this and that. Like, man, she really just has spent the last 5 years just really, really letting the dark side take a hold of her. And kind of almost like embracing that like villain journey, like I said. But it's like in 5 years, you couldn't find some kind of peace. Like, I get it. It's your dad and unarmed and all of that. And he was a doctor and he was there to help people. Like, he wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a fighter or anything, but which just kind of would have put things in a slightly different perspective. But, her dad was more or less a healer and not a fighter. And so those you kind of feel like, maybe just don't shoot them straight in the face when they're doing their job, even though he was doing his job on Ellie and Joel wasn't having any of that. So she lays it all out. I do appreciate Joel and his, like, if you're going to do it, just fucking do it. Just fucking get it over with. Like, like every other villain speech. Just shut up and do it. My God. So, hey, I appreciate his smart mouthiness up until that point. But it's like, hey, goddamn, girl, like, go to therapy. Y'all ain't got a Gale? You didn't have a Gale? Maybe they did have a Gale. And then they didn't have a Gale. You know what I mean? Because Joel killed her. Is what I was getting at. But yeah, Joel's line, would you shut the fuck up and do it already, just was fantastic. Oh, and her line to him about, like, you actually are pretty handsome. Like, we know. Thanks for saying it again. And then she goes and makes them all unhandsome. And that's just not okay. But first, oh my God, first when she just fucking shoots him in the kneecap with the shotgun, like, oh, fuck. I was like, no. This whole time I'm thinking something's got to happen. He somehow has to be able to get away. I don't care if he busts through the glass and like jumps off the fucking balcony or whatever and lands in a big poof of snow and is fine. Let's do that. But no. He has to get shot in the fucking knee with a shotgun, and then Abby's got to go take a fucking golf club to it, and like, oh my God. No thanks. And it's kind of interesting watching her group, almost all of them, kind of just being like, well, at least there's the one taller guy that first he was like, I'm going to try and convince her to go back because we're all going to die. And then the one woman that did the tourniquet. Those two definitely seem to be the most like, I don't know about this anymore. Like, what did we sign up for? Like, they're fine with Abby wanting to murder Joel. Clearly not okay with prolonging it too much, and especially now that it's more than just Joel, right? Because they've also got Dina, who is unconscious because they injected her with something to knock her the fuck out. And then Ellie, basically. So, this is so hard to talk about. But, so those two of Abby's groups definitely kind of seem like, this isn't such a great idea. There's the other guy that he stopped Ellie from shooting Abby when Ellie first creeped up into the room. And he, the one that like kept kicking Ellie and stuff, like he seems to enjoy the ride that he's on with Abby. Like he doesn't seem to have a problem with the murdering or the torturing or kicking teenage girls. And then the other one with the septum piercing, she's a little harder to read. There were times where I'm like, I don't think she's 100% down with this. And then there are other times where I'm like, maybe she is somewhat down with this. I think maybe it just kind of comes down to they had to still be a uniformed front when confronted with Joel and Ellie, and didn't want to show any kind of division within their own little group, as however small or insignificant it may have been, because that's always something then their enemies or their captors can use against them. So that one's a little harder to pin down, but I feel like she's also a little kind of waning a little bit. But yeah, definitely the one that kicked Ellie and Abby seemed to be like the most like woohoo about all of that. So, my God. So yeah, so then I got a note that just says, Jesus fucking Christ, Abby, go to therapy. Oh fuck, Ellie found them. And then all in caps, no, they fucking did not. So by the time Ellie gets up there, Abby has just like been beating the fuck out of Joel, and his face is all fucked up. It is bloody. It is swollen. He's not looking good. You're just like, okay, maybe there's still a chance he can get out of this. Maybe there's still a chance he can live. Like, Ellie, come on, save the day. Jesse, come on, save the day. Dina, wake the fuck up. Ugh. But no. Abby has spent however long just beating the fuck out of Joel, probably between knocking him around with the golf club and just punching him in the face. Because we do catch up, when we do kind of first catch up to her punching Joel in the face, like she's like, it's like a ground and pound kind of situation going on. And it's just like, oh no, that doesn't look good. And I was really, really hoping for Ellie to come in guns a-blazing and be a big damn hero. But of course not, because it's the second episode. Why would things go so well? Like, why? Of course not. This is my first time watching a zombie apocalypse shows. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm new here. My God. I just really was hoping, because I was not ready to lose Joel. But no. Abby takes a chunk of that golf club. I'm wondering, or pipe or something. It was just like the end of a golf club, wasn't it? As if like she beat the shit out of Joel so much, like the club, like a part of like the bottom part of the club and everything like broke off. And now she's just kind of not stuck, but now she has like the grip part and then like a stabby end. And she just fucking right through Joel's neck. Oh God. Ellie's on the ground, just crying and screaming, yelling for Joel to get up. Joel almost gets up. He lifts his head just like a quarter of an inch, just enough to like make a little blood string between his cheek and the floor and for it to be gross and then it not really matter. And, can Pedro Pascal please make it through one HBO series, please, without traumatizing their entire audience base? Please. Oh my God. I'm still just like half expecting, like, maybe he's okay. I'm such an idiot. Just holding out hope till the very, very last fucking seconds. Even once we see Jesse get up to the cabin after Abby and her group have left, and we see but then we see Jesse and Ellie after the storm riding back to Jackson Hole, carrying, you can obviously tell they're dragging something along, and I'm like, oh my God, could he still be okay? And like wrapped in blankets, is just being pulled like on a sled or something? Nope, just straight wrapped in a sheet, bloody, and being dragged across the fucking snow. I'm like, oh, he is dead. There is no question about it. No coming back from that. Fucking dead. And I'm like, that's so mean. I hate it so much. I sat in shocked silence for several minutes after the episode ended. If this was a live watch and react kind of thing, you all would have just heard me yell, oh shit, oh fuck, what the fuck, loud gasping noises, and then just like shocked silence. So that's just kind of like a quick recap of what you could have heard if I was still doing the watch and reacts. And but I'm not doing those this time around. After this episode, it kind of makes me think maybe I should, because that was a lot of fun. I think y'all could have enjoyed that, and maybe we could have like processed that moment together. But I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'll process my pain alone. Thank you very much. So yeah, so that's episode 2, pretty much. The preview for like the next episode, I mean, Ellie makes it back to to Jackson Hole, gets treated. They're probably going to notice her wound from episode 1. I'm guessing not everyone there knows about Ellie being immune. Tommy knows. I'm assuming Maria knows as well. With her being part of the council and everything, I feel like she's definitely someone that should know. But I don't think that is widespread information. And now it seems like it's gonna be. So, and now Ellie is set on her revenge path to go and murder Abby. So this is kind of the problem with like zombie apocalypses and just like apocalypses and these like lawless, barren wastelands and everything. Like, people want to do some revenge and they're going to go do some fucking revenging. Truly, nothing's going to stop them. And it's just this vicious cycle of revenging over and over and over again. And it never, ever fucking stops. So that's something to look forward to, I guess. But, I'm still just kind of recovering from the episode. Talking about it helps a little bit, but it also doesn't, because now I have to relive the trauma. But yeah, what a fucking episode. It was tense, intense, fast-paced, stressy, shocking, and traumatic. Just how I love my shows. And yeah, like I said, between the giant-ass bloater, Joel's death, none of this played out how I thought it might. And I do really love that. And I like that in this episode because, last week it was pretty low stakes. It was just Ellie versus an infected. And knowing that she's immune, it just didn't really seem like too big of a threat. Like there was a lot at stake there. I still think that this smart infected and Ellie's bite, I think, or kind of hope will play more of a part, have a bigger part to play later in the season or even in the next episode. Because again, finding that fresh bite, we'll see how that will all play out. But again, I have been wrong about like everything else since with these 2 episodes. But yeah, I like that they brought back that that zombies are a threat, and that even though when it comes to the people versus the infected, yeah, Ellie is, like I said, low stakes. But this episode reminds us that just because Ellie is doesn't mean fucking everybody is. And I like that. I kind of like this reminder that I feel like in zombie shows, because it's never about the people versus the zombies. It's always the people versus the people. That's the true horror in a zombie apocalypse. It's never the zombies. But yeah, just the reminder that zombies are dangerous. They are still a threat, especially when you have really fast ones like this. So to have this episode and to have the episode and the attack on Jackson Hole be a major part of not just like the last 20 minutes or last 10 minutes or anything. It was like the whole episode was the horde breaching and then everything with Joel and Ellie and Abby. So it's always nice to be reminded that zombies are a threat in the zombie apocalypse, even though it's usually the humans. And the thing that I think what I really, really like about this episode is, even though I don't care for Abby, trying to look at it more like objectively, it's easy for us to want to say like, oh, Abby's the baddie, Abby's the villain, because she killed a character we all really love. She killed Pedro Pascal in his handsome face. But that's kind of the thing about, again, like zombie apocalypse shows and movies, is that are these really the villains, right? Like, is Abby really a villain, or are we just mad at her? Because Ellie's about to go down what I feel like is going to be a very similar path that Abby went down. And we can sit here and we can root for Ellie because we like Ellie and her sassy little mouth and want her wanting to avenge Joel. Her needing to find the peace of trying to reconcile her relationship, like her and Joel's relationship status when he died, with her being so mad at him and everything. I'm sure that's going to come into play, all that kind of guilt and everything. And who knows, maybe that's what's really going to drive Ellie down her revenge path, is that guilt of having been mad at Joel and like really, really mad. But again, because we like Joel, we can empathize and even support Ellie and her new mission, so to speak. But maybe we weren't so thrilled and willing to support Abby and her revenge path to kill Joel. Not just kill Joel, but like to torture him and to make it last as long as possible. And I know she didn't get to make it last as long as she was hoping to. And that's kind of fucked up. Like, I get wanting the revenge. It's the torture part where he's like, that's crossing a line. I think you're not just a revenging type. I think you're a psychopath. So I wonder if we're going to see more of Abby and kind of things from her perspective and get a little bit more empathy for her, and to see that she isn't just like a villain. It's not so black and white, good versus bad, right versus wrong. It's a zombie apocalypse, right? It's lawless, people doing whatever the fuck they want kind of thing. And sometimes they have valid reasons. And sometimes those reasons are only valid to them. So it'll be interesting. I kind of can't wait to see where this goes. Because again, I thought I knew where some stuff was going to go, but I've been like more than fucking wrong with these 2 episodes. So I don't know. I'm done guessing. I'm not done guessing, but I'm just not going to hold my breath on anything unless it's like a really tense, scary part. Then I'll be like, oh my God. So we'll just see. But yeah, it'll be kind of interesting if we get a little bit more of Abby. Maybe she's like super cool, when she's not completely poisoned by revenge. And like I said, some of her friends seem kind of bothered by it all, but not all of them. Let's see. So kind of one of my last notes is, well, I have no idea where this show is going to go now. Ellie is on her revenge journey, or is that something going to happen that stops that? Or just kind of alters her plan? Who else is going to die? I do love shows where nobody is safe. So I do kind of hope they keep that up. Because again, I love shows that just fucking break me emotionally. And then I couldn't help but wonder. So like my first note after the episode ends is all in caps, dude, what the fuck was that? Why'd they do that? That wasn't very nice. And then my follow-up questions were, is this part of the game too? Does Joel die? And then you continue as a different character, either Ellie or Abby or even Tommy. I was just trying to wrap my mind around all of that. So after the episode, I hopped on the old internet there, scrolled through some of the different threads, on Threads about it. And yes, that is a part of the game. What the fuck? Oh my God. I do have to say, I don't know how game players managed that. I also want to say thank you to all the game players for having not spoiled this moment for show only people. Like I said in the last episode, I'll go look up game spoilers, but only after I watch the episode, because I don't want to anticipate anything. And I feel like had I known Joel's death was coming, I don't know. I don't know if it happens in this similar kind of setting and situation as it does in the game. It has to, right? Like Abby is a character from the game. And I think I read one of the comments that after Joel dies, you do play as Abby for a little while. So then maybe we do get a little bit more of maybe Abby isn't a total psycho, or maybe she is. Maybe she doubles down. I don't fucking know. But how do you keep playing your game when your character dies like that? Oh my God. And you know what? And thank you to all the game players that knew this was coming and didn't say a fucking word. Wow, that was very, very good. Very well done. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. I really honestly do. Because I feel like I would have just been expecting that throughout the whole episode. Now, from what I saw through some of the comments, is that the show definitely kicks it up a notch and makes it more graphic, and we actually see Abby land that final blow into Joel's neck. And I guess in the game, there's some of the dialogue, same as in the show, and then it pans away or it cuts away, and so you don't actually see her kill Joel in the video game, I believe. That's what I read on the internet, so you know it's true. So, it's a TV show. Obviously, they're going to kick that up a notch and actually show it and really just fuck with us mentally and emotionally by showing us that and then just showing his face. And oh my God, it's so bad. Oh my God, I can't. My brain is just, again, still trying to wrap itself around all of this. I have seen comments saying that this is like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones all over again. And again, obviously people that read the books knew that was coming. In that show, didn't say anything. Incredibly traumatic. That's definitely an episode I skip, or at least I skip that whole part. But I have to say, I think I did this. I think I brought this upon myself. Because I was doom scrolling through the TikToks, and I came across a video where she was recording, I think, her boyfriend watching The Red Wedding for the first time and recording his reactions. And you can hear the audio and you can hear the music, and everything's just sound so jaunty and lively. And he's the boyfriend sitting on the couch is kind of dancing, having a good time, and all of that just slowly drops more and more and more. And then everything happens and he's just in shock. She's kind of giggling a little bit. And I couldn't help but think, I chuckled a little bit too, because it's like, oh man, I remember that. That was fucking rough. So is this maybe a little penance for laughing at that? I wasn't laughing at him, but just to actually see that range of emotions run through a person kind of in real time-ish like that while watching that scene. I get it. It's traumatic. It's hard to watch. You're very much kind of in denial and very much what the fuck? So I felt like that's very much so. People calling this the Red Wedding of The Last of Us. Sure, absolutely. I got that. I get it. So and when it comes to people watching Game of Thrones for the first time and having to experience some of these very intense, traumatic scenes and character deaths, on one hand, I kind of feel bad that they are going through it, quote, alone, outside of its original runtime. Because I feel like those of us that were able to watch the Game of Thrones while it was still on air, we all at least kind of had each other that Monday morning for those that were able to watch the new episode on Sunday nights. But between Monday morning and really that week, we kind of had each other to kind of lean on as support and to get through it and to grieve. And people watching Game of Thrones now they don't really have that. And I kind of feel, I feel really bad. That they have to kind of go at it alone. They're going to sit there and they're going to ugly cry and they're like, why? And their partner's going to be like, yeah, it sucks. So going through the death of Joel for the last in this show, The Last of Us, in real time with the rest of the fans, I feel less alone, less betrayed. And there's a little bit of peace in that, I guess. I don't fucking know. I still don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm so not even sure what the hell's going to happen next. And I'm so excited. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up because this one did end up being just a smidge longer than the first episode, but I had more rambly things to say. So one thing I did see on the old IMDb there, upon Joel's death, the song Through the Valley by Sean James begins playing. However, the vocals are that of Ashley Johnson, the original voice actor of Ellie from the video games. The song was prominently featured in the first trailer of The Last of Us Part 2, which I'm assuming is the video game. So very cool. I thought that was cool. Bringing the voice actor, incorporating the video game voice actors into the live action series, kind of how and when and where they can. I think that's awesome and really just kind of bridges the gap between the two forms of media, because we got like game folks doing stuff on the show, and yeah, I don't know. I like it. It just tickled me. I thought it was a fun fact. So, all right, but that's going to do it for me today, because I think I'm still processing this. But if you want to let me know what you thought of today's episode, what you thought of Through the Valley, and if you've got any other like game versus TV show fun facts you want to share with me, please let me know. You can send all of that to mystreamingbubble@gmail.com. You can also let me know if you would like to be on the podcast or if you have any other show suggestions or movie suggestions. So after you do that, make sure that you are following this podcast on all the socials. So wherever you are at, I'm probably there too. So all you got to do is just search My Streaming Bubble on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky, and I will pop up for you. And then you just make sure you hit that follow button. And then just make sure that you are sharing this podcast from your preferred podcast player with your friends, family, and mail carrier, because you should, because that's the nice thing to do, because I work really hard on this and everyone should hear my loud, rambly, disjointed thoughts, because that's fun. But then also don't forget about the second podcast, the monthly one, Twin It to Win It, the one that I co-host with Aaron from It's a Fandom Thing, where we test our twinningness and we have to guess how the other one feels about different horror movies. And if we guess correct, then yay, we win, we're twinning. If not, then we're not twinning and we suck and we'll just go and cry into our microphones. But yeah, so new episodes on a Tuesday, like a Tuesday a month. I think they're supposed to be the second Tuesday, but I'm sorry, we rarely get them out on the second Tuesday, but that's all right. We still get monthly episodes out. You should still go back and take a listen to all of them. And you should definitely make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, or Blue Sky. And you should definitely make sure you're following that podcast on a podcast player near you. So, all right. That's it for me. Thank you guys for listening. Thoughts and prayers for the rest of the week. And keep streaming. Goodbye. If you're enjoying the podcast, here are a few ways to show your continued support, like rating and reviewing on a podcast player near you, and sharing your favorite episodes with your friends, family, and mail carrier. If you're looking for merch, then stop by my Redbubble store where you can find and buy My Streaming Bubble stickers, hats, shirts, and more. You can also find me over at buymeacoffee.com and, well, buy me a coffee. Thank you for your continued support, and keep streaming. Bye!